Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittney. This is the Brittney Reacts Show. And on this show we talk all things movies. Today we are recapping my top 10 favorite movies of 2023. We are going to do a separate stream for my 10 least favorite. That's going next week. I haven't seen one movie that could have potentially made my top 10 today, which is The Color Purple. I will be seeing that next week. So I may have to add this movie kind of retroactively if I really love it. But this was just kind of the best time I could get to my top 10. So that's why we're getting to it now. That's really the only other movie I'd have left to see that could have made it. So I still feel very confident in my list. I can't wait for you guys to see it. But how are you guys doing? Hi, Piet Pifaf. Hi, Lily Rose. Hi, Really Sound Seal. Hi, Variety Vlogs. Hi, The Cover Girl. Hi, Arvin. Hi, Will. Hi, Cinnamon Roll. Hi, Scorpio Shadow. Hi, Ageman. Hi, Josh. Hi, Astronomy. Hi, Phoenix Hunter. And thank you to each and every one of you who comes to my show every day. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Hi, Natanya. Hi, Nicholas. Hi, Tanis. I think I got everyone here. All right. So before we get into, my whole top 10, I do just want to let you guys remind you that on Friday, we will be doing a live review for Aquaman. So I will be seeing it tomorrow and I will be doing an out of theater reaction. So make sure you look out for that. And then on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, again, we will be doing a live review for the new Aquaman movie. And then next Monday, there is no show because that's Christmas, obviously. But we will have a show on next Wednesday. That'll be my top 10 least favorite movies. And then next Friday, we will have the whole stream that I promised you as your Christmas gift, okay? So that's the schedule from here on out until the end of this year, basically. Just making sure everyone is up to date and on the same page so everyone knows when the show is coming out and what's happening. All right. So, before we even get to my top 10, what do you guys think about 2023 as a year overall? Do you think this was a good year for movies? Do you think this was a bad year for movies? Do you think when you were coming up with your own top 10 list, were you thinking, oh, this is really easy, there's so many great movies? Or were you thinking, oh, this is really hard, I'm having a hard time finding 10 that I really loved? Because I've been saying that I think this, for as far as blockbusters go, I won't talk about like the specialty market or indie films or anything like that, but as far as blockbusters go, I do feel like a lot of them have been just mostly mid, kind of okay. So I haven't, as you guys know, haven't loved most of the movies that I saw this year. So when I was like sitting down to start making my top 10, I was like, am I even gonna have 10 movies that I really love that I'm like genuinely excited to talk about? But I have to say, once you guys see my top 10, I genuinely like all 10 movies. I would recommend all 10 movies, so I found at least 10 that I did like. Even despite the fact that I know I've been negative about a lot of movies lately, I did find 10 movies that I genuinely loved. But what do you guys think about this year? Hit Movie says it was a good year because we got Barbie and Eras Tour. Yeah, that's true. Swifties had a great year. Cheetah Viper says, I saw John Wick on the thumbnail. I'm excited if and where it will be. Well, I'm not spoiling anything, but I'm glad you like John Wick. Ethereal Dragon thinks it was a bad year? Okay. A Really Sound Seal says it was a lot of hit or misses. I would agree with that. I would say this year was, at least for Hollywood, there was a lot of big surprise flops. Like, a lot of flops. I think one of the biggest stories of the year has just been the fact that a lot of these big franchise films have not done very well. So I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways. As Josh says, this year was full of flops. Yep. I think this was definitely a turning point for the industry, or at least a wake-up call. It should be. Oh no, Natanya says you only have 5 you could think of? Oh, that's bad. Okay, the Free Rocket Man also agrees it's been a tough year. Interesting. Eddie thinks it's super mixed, but highs and lows. Okay. I would say, yeah, it has been mixed, but I think there's been enough really good movies that I at least have a good top 10. So let's get into my top 10 now. So we're going to start at number 10 and then work our way up to number 1. So we're starting at number 10 here, which is Megan. I did not expect by the end of the year this movie to still be in my top 10. But I actually really liked it. I thought it was campy. I thought it was actually genuinely funny. I thought the creative concept of turning the whole like evil, creepy doll come to life thing and spinning it on its head was a really clever idea. I have to say, again, I love the campy aspect of it. You guys know I love a good bit of camp. I love the fact that she was kind of sassy, that she had an attitude, that she was super memeable. I loved the whole marketing campaign for this movie. The dance, I have to say, the dance got me. Even though it was so short in the actual movie, it was fun just seeing it in the film. I love that it became a huge part of the marketing campaign. You saw people do their own like little Megan dances. I also like that it was a nice sneak peek into like apparently the very near future where we might actually have AI powered toys for children. In fact, if you guys are aware of the singer Grimes, who most of you may know as Elon Musk's ex-girlfriend, what Grimes is actually venturing into a new business where she's making kids' toys, like little Furbies, kind of like the ones that they even sell in the movie Megan, but they have a chatbot in them, so like the Furby-looking doll can actually talk to the kids and have conversations with them based on what the kid says. So these sort of AI-powered toys are already coming to life for real. So the fact that we got a movie this year that kind of shows a sneak peek of what the near future could look like, I thought was both very creepy but also kind of cool. I thought it was just an interesting, unique, original concept that I really liked. Did anyone like Megan? Anyone else have Megan in their top 10? Oh, Josh also has Megan in their top 10. Okay. Cheetah Viper agrees it was really fun. Oh, Evil Connor, this is your number 2? Oh, I'm so glad you guys like Megan. I was a little nervous putting this on my list because I was thinking, oh, people are just going to think this is just a dumb B-horror movie. But no, I really, really liked it. I thought it had a smart script. I liked that they actually brought some heart to the characters and like some backstory to the little girl to make her more interesting. I actually think it was really good. Yeah, the Furbies were very weird. Have you guys not seen the Grimes thing? Once this stream is over, if you're interested in seeing what I'm talking about, look up Grimes AI kids toy. It's literally Megan come to life. It's very creepy. Who has seen Megan? Oh, some of you haven't seen it. Interesting. I do recommend it. It's a short movie. It's breezy, as some would say, but in a good way. I think it's for a horror movie, it's pretty decent. The Blue Gecko Nerd says everything that has Elon Musk's name in it is crazy. I actually don't think Elon even has anything to do with the business. It's just Grimes. Okay, most of you agree with me. Megan was funny. I'm glad we're on the Megan train. I was a little nervous of what you guys would think of it. But yeah. Nintendo Gaming Chair, your favorite themes from Detroit Become Human. Yes, as you guys know, Detroit Become Human is one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game. It's just because I really like sci-fi. Sci-fi's always been one of my favorite genres because I like how it can kind of be a sneak peek into the future a bit. And Detroit Become Human, for those who don't know, is also about humanoid robots in the very near future. And yeah, there are a lot of similarities between Megan and Detroit Become Human, although I would actually say that game has more similarities to my next movie, which is actually The Creator. And I know not everyone likes this movie. I know for some reason this movie gets a ton of hate online, and I don't get it. I feel like I genuinely saw a different movie than everyone else when I saw this film. Like, when I saw this movie, I just knew most people would like it, that most people would be like, oh wow, this is great. I can't believe more people aren't paying attention to it. But I fully am aware that apparently I'm in the minority with this movie because not everyone loves it, but I love it. Again, you guys know I love a good sci-fi story, and this was it. It gave us epic visuals. I like that somehow with an $80 million budget, we got some of the best creative, epic-looking visuals on screen that we got from any movie this year. I like the themes talking about the differences between humans and robots, and what does it mean to be a human, and like maybe looking at how humans and artificial intelligence could potentially coexist in the future. For those who don't know what this movie is or what it's about, it's again a movie taking place in the near future where humans and AI are at war with each other. And you have the main actor played by Denzel Washington's son, who is in charge of taking down the creator, who is behind all of these machines and behind this powerful weapon that could take out all of humanity. But his journey kind of gets him to understand the AI side more, and you get to understand how AI could be like humans. And I just thought it had a lot of really smart things to say about humanity and technology. I know this movie apparently wasn't for everyone, but I really liked this movie. Okay, Astronomy agrees with me. The Creator was an awesome movie. Okay. Cowboys fan also really liked The Creator. That's great. Cinnamon Roll says, haven't seen The Creator, but it looks pretty cool. If sci-fi isn't your thing, Natanya, you probably won't be into it. I think in order to get into this movie, you have to like hard sci-fi a bit. That could be it. If you're not into that kind of thing, you probably won't like this movie. But if you like hard sci-fi, if you like Dune, this is the kind of movie that I think you'll be into. Josh Loves Movies says, this movie just hit Disney Plus and Hulu, so hopefully it causes more people to watch The Creator. I totally agree. I hope this movie really flew under the radar. I don't think that the studio really marketed this movie well at all. I don't think most people have even heard of this movie or probably seen it, which is a shame because I think, honestly, given the world that we seem to be entering into, I think it's probably a good, at least a good discussion point for the future of artificial intelligence in the world we're about to walk into. Again, I was super impressed at what they were able to do with like an $80 million budget. The visuals and the CGI and the visual effects and everything in this movie look better than some $300 million films that we got this year. Yes, I'm throwing shade to The Flash and Quantumania because CGI in those movies look terrible and they had like 3 times the budget. So that's why I had to bring those films up. Nintendo Gaming Chair, thank you so much for the super chat. Detroit Become Human reminds me of U.S. civil rights. It is a civil rights story. It's basically a civil rights story for robots. That's what Detroit Become Human is. And I would say that The Creator touches on the civil rights aspect as well, which is probably why I think these two are the most similar. It's just a very interesting story. Any story that really unpacks humanity from like a cool, even sci-fi lens, I'm 100% down for. That's like my crux when it comes to storytelling or popular tropes that I'm into. I know I mentioned Dune again. I know y'all don't care for Dune, but I do. Astronomy says Ant-Man 3 and The Flash look like the CGI goop. Yeah, they do look like CGI goop. This movie did not look like CGI goop, which I appreciated. Oh my god, someone called this Wet Dune. Riru, it kind of is Wet Dune in a way. Wet Dune with robots is essentially how I would describe The Creator in the best way possible. Scorpio Shadow, I want Detroit Become Human to be an HBO series. That's what I want it to be. But anyway, getting back to this. So my number 8, someone actually already mentioned this movie already, but my number 8 is John Wick 4. I loved John Wick. I've been loving these movies since the very first one that came out, I believe 2014. These movies are super action-packed. They're violent. They're crazy. I love the world building of all the secret assassins working together and how they're all trying to take each other out. I think the lore is really cool. The action is some of the best action out of any action movies that I've seen. I mean, the whole staircase scene. We gotta talk about just this staircase scene in the third act alone. That was some of the best action stunts, some of the best action camera work that I've seen in a very, very long time. I think this scene alone should have sparked a controversy over not having a best stunts Oscar category because this scene deserves an Oscar. I know what makes the John Wick movie so cool is not really the story, it's the action and also the cool lore. And this movie just really doubled down on both of those things, and that's why I really loved it. I mean, going to the very end when he has to go to the high table at the top across from the Eiffel Tower, and that whole sequence where we don't know really who's going to walk away from this table alive. Really, the way this whole sequence played out, I had no idea who was going to live or who was going to die up until the very end of the movie, and I thought that was exhilarating and very exciting. But anyone else love John Wick 4? I thought this was a great, great movie. Oh no, Fatima never cared for John Wick. I love these films. Josh says the stunts in the John Wick movie were insane. They were really the best. I think they were the best out of all of the movies. Scorpio Shadow says, haven't seen John Wick movies. Oh no, but you like that it's about avenging his dog. I mean, really, all of this starts from him avenging his dog back in the first movie. And I have to say, now that I have a dog, I fully understand where he's coming from, fully. Nintendo Gaming Chair, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I fear Netflix going screwed up Horizon TV show by miscasting for fake DEI. Netflix already screwed up Witcher with miscasting. I don't know anything about the Horizons TV show. I can't really comment on that, and I don't watch The Witcher. I'm sorry. Netflix shows tend to be hit and miss. Sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're not. I mean, we really don't know. Their whole thing is just volume and content, so they're pretty hit and miss. They're like the very definition of hit and miss, but we'll see. But anyway, again, some of the best action sequences out of the entire series, like the part where they're chasing John Wick through the streets of Paris and he's going around one of those monuments in Paris. That was super, super cool. And how they're like picking up guns off the floor as they're still driving. That was like peak Fast and Furious level of stunt work back when Fast and Furious movies were still good. But like mixed with like other cool fight scenes too, an actual kind of decent story. And we have a really great movie. I thought John Wick 4 was actually pretty good. Wait, are you talking about the Horizon Zero Dawn? Are they doing a Horizon Zero Dawn TV show? Is that what you're talking about? I did not hear about that, although I'm not surprised by it. It's a very popular game. I've actually played part of it. I haven't finished the game, but I have played part of it. It could be a fun show if they do it right. Okay. Seems like not all of you have seen John Wick. I'm so surprised. These movies are very popular. But anyway, if you haven't seen these movies, I do recommend checking them out. They are very, very good. And I do think they get better as they go along. Like, I think this is the best one yet. Anyway, now moving on to number 7. Now, my next movie might anger some of you for how low on the list it is, but I will explain. So number 7, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. I do love this movie. I love it. That's why it's number 7 on my list. I think it's great. One of the main things that I love about this movie is the graphics, the animation, the visuals. I think that they took what everyone loved about the animation in the first movie and they really bumped it up like several notches. I love that they mixed multiple different art styles together. I love that you can tell each and every frame was painstakingly done by hand, even in some shots. I really think that as far as like artistry goes, this movie has it in spades, and I just deeply respect that. I also love that this movie is one of the few movies that does the multiverse thing well. Like, as far as movies that do the multiverse well and make it make sense, I feel like there's only 2 movies that have actually done that, and it's this movie and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm sorry, but any of the MCU attempts at the multiverse have just not been nearly as good as what they did here. I thought it was fun seeing all the different Spider-Mans come together and fight and team up. I love that they're all in slightly different art styles. Sometimes they're even like different frame rates. I think that's just, again, the artistry of it I really appreciate. I think the characters, I love that they aged them up slightly, but they still kept them like the core of who they are, but we just got to know more about them. I think that Miles is turning into a very mature, interesting, complex character. I love that Miles Morales is becoming like almost as popular of a name as Peter Parker now. I think that's incredible. Love that we got to see more from Gwen. Really, I can't say enough good things about this movie. The only reason why it's lower is because there are a few other movies, as you will see, that I liked more. And just generally, it is only half of a movie. And I think just because this movie was trying to do so much, I actually still like the first Spider-Verse movie a little bit more than the sequel. But overall, my flaws that I have with this movie are minor. I think it's generally really good. I loved the villain. I think the Spot is super cool. I like how they utilized his body and it caused them to like move around and transcends different boundaries or whatever. It was really, really neat, very creative. Liked this movie a lot. What did you guys think of this film? Ethereal Dragon says, it does have its problems. It does. It's not a perfect movie, but it is really good. Scorpio Shadow says, I only enjoyed the Spider-Verse cinematic release. I hate the changes on the digital release. You know, I haven't seen it since it's been on the digital release, but I've been seeing some of the before and after differences some people have shown me of like the animation. And I think some of the animation choices look worse, if I'm being honest. Josh Loves Movies says this was a phenomenal sequel to the first movie. It is a great follow-up. It is hard to top that first movie too, since the first movie is, I think, an instant classic. HP says it makes sense to like the first better. The first was a contained story. This ended on a cliffhanger. Very true. And who knows when we're going to get the sequel. Seems most of you really love it. The cover girl, this is one of your favorites too. Okay, Ryu, you agree with me? You like the first movie more. Edgeman says, this movie was one of the best experiences I have ever witnessed. I had so much fun. Well, I'm glad that you loved it that much. I love that you called it an experience too, not just a movie. Okay, Arvin, the ending confused you. I'm sure we'll get lots of resolutions in the next one. I just hope it doesn't take too long. Oh my gosh, Nintendo Gaming Chair. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel. It really means a lot. If you had hired as casting director for Detroit Become Human, would faithfully hiring based on all characters per their appearance or miscasting like Hollywood does since forever, especially since 2010? I mean, honestly, could we get the actual actors that were in the original video game? I don't think they're too much older. Maybe maybe almost 10 years older, but like the guy who plays Marcus, because I know how they did Detroit Become Human is a lot of it is motion capture, like they actually based it off of the real actors' movements. Get the guy that played Marcus for real again. I can't imagine another actor who plays Marcus. Plus, he's already black. I don't think they need to race swap any actors because the original cast is already pretty diverse. So I don't think that's really necessary. And honestly, I would just want the original cast again because I think they were all really good. But thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Edgeman says, if something bad happens to Gwen or Miles, I will leave the theater. Oh, I highly doubt they'll kill them off. Maybe they'll kill off another character. I can see that. But I think the main core Spider-Verse characters will be fine. Maybe one of the parents will go. We'll see. But anyway, getting to number 6. You guys are going to be excited about this one. But Nimona. I loved Nimona. Loved Nimona a lot. I think this movie... You guys know I love Arcane. This movie is the closest thing I have seen that reminds me of Arcane. It's very complex with the storytelling. It talks about mature subject matter, but it does it really well. Again, the art style, I love it. It looks really, really cool and engaging to watch. I love that it's this kind of sci-fi medieval blend that looks really cool. The world building is super interesting to me. I also love that the movie kind of opens with a murder and a betrayal, and now our main character is on the run. It really kind of sets up the stakes right off the bat. I love that there's all these metaphors about mental health and like tackling your demons and all of that stuff, and talks about having a soul and all of these things. They're like really beautiful messages and themes in this movie that I think it touched on just really, really well. Honestly, I think the villain is probably one of the best villains we've gotten in any movie this year. I wish Disney villains were as evil as this villain. Like, we're going back to Wish and talking about King Magnifico. King Magnifico had no teeth. He was biteless. He was a very weak, evil villain. Now, this villain, she was twisted. She, did whatever she could to get what she wanted. And I really appreciated that. I thought the amount of twists and turns this movie took was really interesting, kept it alive and fresh. Love these characters. I love just that it was an original story that I had seen before. I couldn't really predict where the story was going. Very, very good movie. I can't recommend it enough. Who have seen Nimona, who has not? Okay, a couple of you have never heard of this movie. I have done an entire live stream reviewing it, so if you want my thoughts on it more in depth, please go back and check that live stream out. Josh Loves Movie says, Nimona is my favorite Netflix movie this year. So happy it got saved. I know! Nimona was going to be a Disney movie, which is the crazy part. Because this was actually a Fox movie originally, and then Disney bought Fox, and then Disney was like, we don't want to touch this at all. So they were going to just kill it and cancel it, but then Netflix saved it. So that's how it ended up on Netflix. So I'm glad that Netflix did save it, because it was really good. And Disney should have kept this movie. This movie is so much better than Wish in every way. This should have been their 100th anniversary movie, way more than what Wish was. Okay, World of Entertainment, you also agree you love it. Yeah. Yes, it is on Netflix, Laura B, so please check it out. Scorpio Shadow says, oh yeah, I remember when Disney rejected it. I know, such a huge missed opportunity for them. Asiaman says, Nimona made me run to the bookstore and buy the book. It was amazing, too, but the movie ending was better. Oh, is it? I don't know what the ending is in the novel, but the movie ending, going back to this, I think literally was one of the most poetic, beautiful endings that I've seen in a movie this year, for sure. Thought it was great. Arvin says, if Disney was going to make it, Awkwafina was going to voice as Nimona for sure. Oh, wait, hold on, Natanya, you just posted the video. Is that my review of Nimona? Thank you so much, Natanya. Natanya is one of our moderators. She's always posting links to things when I mention it. Thank you so much, Natanya. If you guys want to see my more in-depth thoughts on Nimona, just check that link that Natanya just posted. Thank you so much. I know, Alan. Are we really surprised Disney is killing projects? I'm not. Anyway, just had to bring up Nimona because I thought Nimona is great. Now, the next movie, you guys know I really loved, which I was surprised by, but it's actually The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I had pretty much no expectations, pretty low expectations for this movie, actually. Just because I thought it was just another cynical cash grab. I was like, how are they going to do a Hunger Games movie without Katniss and Peeta and Haymitch and Effie and all of those characters that made the Hunger Games so iconic? I was like, oh, it's a whole new cast. It's a prequel, so we already know how it ends. And then Rachel Zegler really stepped in it, and I was like, oh, now that's a whole extra thing. So I went into this movie with, like, just very low expectations, which maybe helped my experience, to be honest. But I do really think it was a great movie. I loved, if you guys don't know, this is the origin story to how President Snow came to be, essentially. I loved charting Snow's progression from what he is at the beginning to what he is at the end and all the twists and turns that it took to get there. I also love the relationship between Lucy Gray and Snow and how that kind of developed over the course of the movie. I thought that was really just interesting and intriguing. Again, I thought the performances were all really great, especially from the guy that plays Snow. I want to see him in more stuff. I thought he really dug deep and he really showed a lot of, like, really, I think, deep emotion as an actor. Like, I really believed the inner turmoil that he was going through, which, as I've been telling you guys, I think a lot of Western acting, I guess, has been getting really subtle and, like, almost too subtle. And I feel like I can really feel and, you know, get attached to him as an actor, which is a huge compliment in my eyes. And the Hunger Games itself was super intense. Like, I did not know who was going to die in what order. I didn't know how people were going to die. It was just very, very tense. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time they were in the arena. Really, I couldn't predict a single thing that would happen because I didn't read this book. So I just loved how unpredictable it was. I loved the sort of crazy ride this movie took me on. It really felt like multiple movies in one, especially the third act kind of felt almost like a tacked on sequel, but in a way that worked for me just because of the ending was such like a weird almost 180 of how it started, because I just thought that progression was kind of interesting. Overall, I really liked this movie. I like this movie a lot. Josh Loves Movie says, this movie is in your top 3. Loved it very much. My favorite Hunger Games movie since Catching Fire. You know what? Catching Fire is a good movie. I think Catching Fire is definitely still the best Hunger Games movie by far. Weird, yes. Scorpio Shadow says, The Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is just my second favorite, the first being Catching Fire. I mean, I don't know if it's my second favorite, because I do like the original Hunger Games quite a lot. In fact, I actually recently just rewatched it because I saw this movie. The first Hunger Games is really good. But maybe it's the third, because I do like this movie more than the Mockingjay film, so it's pretty up there. Okay, Cheetah Viper just thinks Finnick was eye candy. Okay. Astronomy says, I love when Hollywood adapts books. They need to do more of that. I know! you could just so tell that them having a book to adapt really helped them as far as story and script goes. Because how many times we watch these movies and we're like, oh, the script was the worst part, the story was the worst part. But I thought the story and the script in this one was one of the best parts of this movie, because I think they had a book to go off of, and it really helped them stay principled to a story that was already well thought out and mapped out. So I think that's why it really helped this movie and why I liked it so much. Seems like most people are agreeing Catching Fire is still the best Hunger Games film. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree, Arvin. The very on-the-nose, blood-soaked gloves that Viola Davis wore the whole movie I thought were ridiculous. So on the nose. But costume choices aside, I thought this movie was really good. Also, this movie has a ton of endings. It's one of those movies where it feels like it keeps ending and then it keeps going. That's another minor negative, but I still like it. But anyway, moving on to the next movie, which may or may not surprise you because I haven't talked about this movie a ton, but I really did like it quite a lot. And it's actually the new the new Mission Impossible movie with, of course, Tom Cruise, but we also got Paul Clementoff in it this time. We also got Peggy Carter herself in it this time. We've got a lot of new actors in this one that I think brought some new life to it. Plus, the action in it was super, super cool. Love the whole train sequence. If you guys have seen the new Mission Impossible movie, there's, in the third act, they actually don't play this part up in the marketing much. Like, they played the whole, like, Ethan Hunt jumping off the mountain with his motorbike. Like, they played up that event quite a lot. But they don't play up the whole train scene, which I actually think is more exhilarating than what they were advertising. But anyway, there's this whole part of the movie where, like, the train is almost about to go into the water, and, like, they're falling off the track, and they have to, like, fight their way up the train as it's falling down. And that whole scene, I was quite literally at the edge of my seat, like, holding my breath the whole movie, because I was just like, oh my god, what is going to happen? It was so tense. Really, the whole movie, I was just like, oh, this is really good. Like, the action, you can really tell that most of it was done real. I mean, obviously, because this is a Tom Cruise movie. But, like, just the fact that all of these stunts were done so practically, you can just feel the realness of it. All of these stunts, I think, just felt more, like, impactful and more suspenseful because you could tell that it was done real. So sometimes I was just like, how in the world are they actually doing this? How are they getting away with this? Like, I found myself kind of wondering how they were filming certain scenes as they were doing them. But I liked that. I liked that the movie was making me think more than just, like, you know, letting the film wash over me. And I'm just kind of like, oh, it's okay. But this movie actually got me engaged. It got me to lean forward. It got me, like, I don't know. I was really into this movie. I also love, again, this is another movie. I don't know if Hollywood planned this. I highly doubt that they did, because how could they have known that 2023 would be the year that AI really blew up? But there was a lot of movies about AI this year, and this was another one. Thank God, too, because apparently this was the movie that finally convinced Joe Biden that AI is a problem, which is weird. It's like, go watch Terminator. Anyway, at least he watched it. And yes, this movie shows a very realistic depiction of what could go wrong if an AI got out on the loose. And that was also really terrifying, again, seeing all the things that's been going on in the news. So there's multiple reasons I like this film. I thought it was very good. I'm very sad that Barbenheimer killed it, though. Like, it did not do well at the box office, even though I thought it deserved to. Did anyone see the new Mission Impossible movie? Oh no, Variety Vlogs. You didn't see it. Okay. Marilyn Cherry, they are doing another Mission Impossible movie. In fact, they're doing a part 2 to this movie, which they took the part 2 name off of it, but I don't know what they're going to do other than that, because the first one didn't do very well, but it very much is a part 1. Like, it ends on a cliffhanger, so I don't know what they're going to do about the part 2. Cinnamon Roll says Mission Impossible is a classic. I love this series. I actually recently rewatched and binged the whole series. I think it was like last year, maybe, or 2 years ago. So I've seen all of these movies. I've seen all of them multiple times. It's one of my favorite action franchises. I do think it's aging and probably getting a bit tired now, just because it's been going on literally my whole life. So I just think that part of the reason that this movie didn't do too well was because of Barbenheimer, but also because it's an old franchise that probably needs to end at this point. But I still like these movies. I like these characters. I like the action sequences. I think it's good. I really like this movie. Oh, you thought Barbie would be this one? Oh, we'll get to... I don't want to spoil it, but we'll possibly get to Barbie. Okay, Arvin says you're tired of Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible. Yeah, I get it. I do. Astronomy says this series keeps getting better ever since Rogue Nation. I definitely think Rogue Nation turned things around for them, for sure. Seems like most of you guys have not seen Mission Impossible, which is so surprising. Oh, Laura B says you can't stand Tom Cruise. Yeah, there's also that. Not everyone is a Tom Cruise fan. But anyway, I really like this movie. If you like Mission Impossible movies, if you can stomach Tom Cruise, I do recommend it. It is very good. Alright. Speaking of Barbie, now let's talk about Barbie. Yes, Barbie is number 3 because I really like this movie. I liked it a lot. You guys know I was super excited for it. I had been anticipating this movie for a minute. I made several videos about this film just because I could feel the hype. I could tell this movie was going to be huge, and it was. I like this movie for many reasons. Let me get into them. So, obviously, one of the reasons I love this movie, visuals, the production design. I think if this movie doesn't win the Oscar for Best Production Design, I will be so upset because I think more than any movie, this movie really deserves it. I think the fact that they took the time to build a real set really made a difference. I think it really translated on screen, was a huge part of why the trailers were so appealing, is because everyone saw this Barbie world and was like, oh, I want to go there. I want to go live in Barbie world. And I think it really... just this image and several of the other visuals from the trailer, I think is probably what sold the movie more than anything. And I just love, again, that they built a real set, that they knew to go super surreal, to really play into the Barbie nostalgia, the Barbie feel of it, all the pink, all the plastic. I just loved how real and lived in this Barbie world was. It was super cool. I just loved the whole concept of it, really. Also, I love the fact that they went with multiple different Barbies and multiple different Kens. I liked the setup of how there was a Barbie world where there was all these Barbies and she had to go to the real world. I just liked that we got just not just one Barbie, one Ken, we got multiple. I also liked that it talked about gender roles, and I think because talking about gender roles is so topical in 2023, that's probably also one of the reasons this movie did so well. It really tapped into that. Because I think not everyone agrees with me, and that's totally fair. But I think the fact that it talks about how men and women are both expected to act certain ways, and how that can actually be hurtful to both of us, and how basically men and women can get along. We shouldn't always be fighting each other. I thought it had a lot of really positive things to say. I don't think it was entirely anti-man. If you don't agree with me, go watch my Barbie review where I explain that. But I really liked that we got so many Kens. I thought Ryan Gosling was great. I love the I'm Just Ken song. Also, we have the new Doctor here in the background, Trudy Gatwa, which is really funny. I haven't been watching the new Doctor Who episodes, even though I used to be a massive Doctor Who fan, just because everything I've seen about the new Doctor Who episodes has been pissing me off. So I don't know if I'm going to talk about Doctor Who. Let me guys know if you want me to talk about Doctor Who. Does anyone in my chat even watch that show? But anyway. I loved the Kens. Loved seeing the Kens. Loved the fashion. Costumes were crazy. I loved that. Really just great movie overall. Loved it. I think Hollywood needs more films like these. We need more big, escapist, fantasy. Well, it doesn't have to be fantasy, but just more movies with vision, movies with epic scale, movies with real sets, but real creative, immersive set designs with fun characters that we can latch on to with, again, I really want to emphasize needing a creative voice like Greta Gerwig behind it. It just needs to feel authentic and not just like a cash grab. And even though this was a Barbie movie, literally based off of a toy, they actually managed to make this movie feel like they were trying to say something and it had a meaning more than just trying to sell toys. So I can't say enough good things. I really think this movie is quite good. And I'm happy that it got all of the attention that it got. Seems like some of you have never seen Doctor Who. That is probably most of you. I have not heard the new I'm Just Ken Christmas song. I did see that he dropped a whole IP, not just a Christmas song. Ryan Gosling, in case you guys didn't know, just dropped a whole EP with a bunch of remixes to I'm Just Ken. I think this is just a marketing tactic to try to win the Best Original Song Oscar, because he's going up against Peaches and Billie Eilish and potentially Dua Lipa too. So he has a lot of competition. And yes, I'm seriously keeping Peaches in the conversation because I would not be surprised if it won. I know a lot of people like Peaches. Natanya, thank you again. Natanya just posted my Barbie review in the chat, so you can click on that as well if you want. Cheetah Viper says, watch Chris Eccleston because I liked him. Haven't watched after that. So you haven't seen David Tennant or Matt Smith? You gotta watch at least until Matt Smith. You can stop after that because I stopped with Capaldi. I didn't even get to Jodie Whittaker. I stopped at 12. But really, 10 and 11 are great. I agree, Taylor Swift lover. Peaches should win. Laura B says, I don't know. There was a new I'm Just Ken. I have to look that up. There's like 3 new I'm Just Kens. He made a whole EP. Josh Loves Movie says, I think Wicked would be the next huge hit after Barbie. I do too. I think Wicked could be the Barbie movie of 2024, potentially. I have to see the trailer and how they make Munchkin Land look. But if they make Munchkin Land and like the Wizard of Oz, like the whole Oz city, if they make the design of those cities as real and immersive and visually appealing as they made Barbie Land and of course the Barbie movie, I think they'll really have something. But I really, really hope that they don't make the movie super grim and like visually dark looking. I think this movie Wicked should be what Barbie is, and that it should be like a visual feast for the eyes. It really should be. I hope they go down that route, but I'm a little nervous because the director they got tends to like things dark, so we'll see. But I'm very excited for Wicked. Alexander Padilla says, I'll have Dua Lipa or Billie Eilish win over Ryan Gosling. Well, Ryan Gosling's campaigning hard for that Oscar. That's why he dropped the EP. But I don't know if it's going to work for him. Maybe. I don't know. The Blue Gecko Nerd says, well, at this point, the Barbie soundtrack should be in every single category. I'm not just talking about Dance the Night and Billie Eilish song. I mean all of it. I think the Barbie soundtrack was definitely the biggest movie soundtrack of the year by far. Oh, I hope Jack Black gets to perform Peaches at the Oscars. I really, really hope he does. Maiden says, ain't Ariana a homewrecker? We're not talking about Ariana's personal life and what SpongeBob person she might be hooking up with. We're just talking about, the Wicked movie, which she's going to play Glinda in. So I'm very curious to see her version of Glinda. She can hit the notes, though. She can definitely sing the songs, but can she act the part? I don't know. Anyway, getting to my next movie, number 2, which I don't think my top 2 movies are going to surprise you guys. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. Oh, you guys know I love this movie. For really the whole year, I didn't think it was possible for me to see another movie that I was going to like more than this one, but I did. And of course, you guys probably know what number 1 is now, but let's talk about number 2 first. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is not just one of my favorite movies of this year, but I think it might be one of my favorite Marvel movies, period. And that's crazy to say in an era where I feel like most projects Marvel's putting out right now is not that good. So the fact that they actually managed to drop something that is not just good, but I think genuinely one of their best, and a year that has just not been their year whatsoever, I think is pretty impressive, and honestly, you have to kind of give a lot of the credit to James Gunn, not gonna lie. But not just James Gunn, but also the entire cast. What Guardians 3 made me realize was how much I had grown to really love and appreciate this entire cast. Like, the thought that I might not see them again, or that some of the characters would die, was genuinely upsetting, and I knew that I would miss them going forward, because I knew this was the last movie, and that anyone could potentially die, or really we probably will never see these characters again. Maybe we'll see some of them in an Avengers movie down the line, I don't know, but we'll probably never see this gang together again as it is, like with Gamora and, everyone that you see here in this picture, basically. I'm pretty sure that this is the end for the Guardians as we know it. And that idea in my head as I was watching it just, I think, really hit home with me. And I realized, oh wait, I like these people and I don't want to see them get hurt. And see Rocket get hurt and the whole storyline with his friends and the whole, like, just animal abuse situation, like, it was messed up, man. I gotta say, it was messed up. It was dark. I did not realize that a Disney movie would really take it there. I mean, really, the bunny looked horrific and horrifying. I was actually kind of surprised when I saw this movie that they got away with a PG-13 rating. I think with just a few more drops of blood, this movie could have easily been rated R, just because of, it was pretty graphic in how it treated the whole, like, animal abuse situation, but it really got to me. I thought Rocket's whole backstory was beautiful as it was sad. But it wasn't just sad, it was also a really fun movie too. I love just getting to see the Guardians hang out and fly around space, and, you know, the music was really cool. Really everything about this movie I loved. I think it's a dang near perfect movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. But what do you guys think about Guardians 3? Anyone love it as much as I do? Scorpio Shadow says the Guardians of the Galaxy volumes are the best movies of Marvel. I would say, at this point, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is probably the best trilogy out of the entire MCU. I would say it's either that, or maybe the Captain America trilogy comes second, at least for me. Taylor Swift Lover says the music was fire on Guardians 3 as if all the movies. True, I mean, the music was great. All the needle drops were really, really fun. Josh Loves Movies says the High Evolutionary had the best face reveal of the year. Yes, the High Evolutionary was super, super creepy. I think he was a much better written villain than Kang was, which is why I'm confused that they're still apparently planning to recast Kang. I really feel like they should just get rid of that character altogether, but I guess that's what they're doing. But anyway, I just think that this is probably it is Marvel's best written movie of the year. I think that it really just hit me in the feels in a way that not many other movies, really only one other movie, and we're about to talk about it, kind of got me. Again, I haven't cried this hard in a movie in a very long time, but just seeing, like, the story, how it progressed, all the flashbacks, seeing how hard the entire gang was working to try to save their friend. It was really touching to me. The entire story was just really emotional and touching to me. And I loved it a lot. I really did. No variety vlogs. Taika Waititi should not be the next Star-Lord. What are you talking about? What do you mean, editing geek? Ant-Man is not the best trilogy. It is the worst trilogy. Jason says Gamora felt useless in this one, my only complaint. Yeah, I do wish they could have done more with Gamora. It seems like the only reason they probably didn't do more with Gamora is simply just because, well, I mean, I don't think she was supposed to be in this movie because she died in Infinity War, but then they made her come back, so I don't know. I have a feeling I don't think Gamora was originally supposed to be in this movie, but probably they forced Gunn to use her. Ageman says Guardians of the Galaxy is way better than the Avengers. You know what? I have to say, I think Guardians 3 probably is better than the Avengers movies. I really like this movie a lot. Anyway, any other thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 before we get to my very obvious number one? You haven't seen the third one, Ryu? Oh, it's so good. It's a lot better than the second. I will say I thought Guardians 2 was a step down from Guardians 1. I didn't like it as much as the first Guardians. But overall, I think the trilogy is pretty tight as a whole. Anyway, now we're moving on to number one, which is, I guess we'll do a minor drum roll, even though it's super obvious at this point. But you guys know, I freaking loved Godzilla Minus One. This movie came out of absolutely nowhere for me. Wasn't on my radar until a few days before I saw it. I hadn't even heard of this movie. Had no idea it was coming out. Had zero plans to see it. The only reason I saw it is because I had a few of you guys that were like, you have to see it, it's so good. And then I was starting to get so much hype. Everyone was saying it was like the best movie of the year. And I was like, you know what? I really want a good movie. I hope it's good. So I forced myself. I told you, I was like this close to not even going to go see this movie, y'all. I was really on the fence about it. But I got my lazy butt up, but I was like, all right, let me go see this movie. And I'm so glad that I did. It is by far, and it's not even close, and you guys know how much I love Guardians 3. And it's not even close how much I love this movie, and how much I think it stands head and shoulders above like every other movie I've seen this year. As much as I love all the other movies I named on this list, and I really like every single one, this movie, just from a script standpoint, a writing standpoint, character development standpoint, really all of it is just like, compare Guardians 3, which you guys know I love. I would say Guardians 3, I would be happy if Guardians 3 got nominated for, like, say, a best comedy or musical award for the Golden Globes. Like, I would say, oh yeah, Guardians 3 is good enough for that, but I wouldn't say it really needs an Oscar nomination, you know? But this movie, if this movie actually got nominated for Best Picture and it won, I would have zero complaints. I would say it was deserved. That's how much I think it's better than like every other movie on this list. So let me get into why. The characters. Before we even get into Godzilla, the characters are literally so like interesting and intriguing, and like the story actually makes you care about the characters even more than Godzilla. Like every monster movie I've ever seen, I always end up siding with the monster because I'm usually like, I don't care at all about these humans, just do what you want to them. At least it'll be exciting, you know? That's usually how I am when I watch these movies. But this time I was like, no, I actually care about this human drama that's going on. I don't want Godzilla to kill them. I want them to kill Godzilla. So the fact that I was rooting against Godzilla in this movie is huge. I mean, Godzilla's atomic breath and how basically every time he breathes, it's like an atomic bomb that goes off. I mean, that was how they visually showed that on screen, was just jaw-dropping. Like, I literally dropped my jaw the first time I saw his atomic breath, because it was just so, like, the destruction of it was painted so vividly, and you could see the destruction from a street level, that it was like, wow. Like, you could actually imagine something like that happening in real life, and, like, seeing how awful that would be. That's why you thoroughly did not like Godzilla in this movie. He was not the guy you rooted for at all. He was definitely the bad guy, and you hated him, at least for, you know, fun reasons. This movie is, I think this is not just one of the best movies of the year. I think it's one of the best movies of the 2020s. Yeah, I said it. I think it's that good. Again, the fact that we cared even about like the B and C list characters. For those who haven't seen this movie, the main actor guy here, who's on the far right here, he needs to get money so he can help take care of the woman that's living in his house. And so he goes out to sea to go work on these boats. And so all of the sea men here, who he meets and befriends throughout the movie, you actually get to know and you like them. And it's them who team up at the very end to go fight Godzilla. And the whole like fight scene at the end where they're all like battling Godzilla in the water, and how they're strategically playing out everything from like following through on their plan. It was very, very cool. Very, very well written, thought out well. Characters popped. There was a moment in my movie during the climax where my entire theater was silent. Like you could hear a pin drop because everyone was just like holding their breath during one of the most pivotal moments of the movie. You probably know which time I'm talking about, just because it was so impactful. I can't say enough good things about this movie. Genuinely, I think it's an incredible film. Yes, and it's a standalone film by itself, Brianna, true. Josh Loves Movie says Godzilla fans are having a great year. I know there's another Godzilla movie coming out next year. That one's an American movie from Warner Brothers. I gotta be honest, I saw the trailer for that one and I'm like, I just don't know. After seeing Godzilla Minus One, like that's the bar now, you know? Like I can't, especially since I saw the last Godzilla vs. Kong movie and I did not care for that at all. I just don't see myself enjoying that next Godzilla movie, not gonna lie. Astronomy says Godzilla Minus One is absolutely incredible. One of the best movies of the past few years. I definitely agree. Scorpio Shadow says, honestly, Godzilla Minus One has better characters than the white... wait, what? No respect for Millie Bobby Brown, though. the crazy thing some of the times you guys almost have me say. Honestly, no disrespect to Millie Bobby Brown. She was definitely not the only problem in that Godzilla vs. Kong movie, but I think outside of playing 11, I feel like, I don't know, she comes across as not very likable in most roles I've seen her in outside of Stranger Things. I'm very curious to see how her career progresses once that show's actually over. I don't know. I don't know. But Millie Bobby Brown just gives me like, you know, there's certain actors where you're just like, I don't know. I don't F with them. Millie Bobby Brown is one of those people for me. Okay, editing gig. Sorry, no Millie slander. That's all I'll say. I'll stop now. Rihanna Desart says that new Legendary Productions Godzilla film is going to be the goofy Godzilla film. Godzilla Minus One is the serious, thought-provoking film. True. As Astronomy puts, they're kind of doing like a Godzilla Heimer type thing where he's like black and pink, like Godzilla looks like Barbenheimer now. I get the American ones are very goofy. I just don't think I'm going to be into the American ones if that's how they're going to be, to be honest. But I don't think it's just that the American version is goofy. It's like all American blockbusters, or most of them, I should say, are kind of like that. Like, they're just kind of like, meh, and the script is like silly and doesn't take itself that serious. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I don't know if I'm even going to see that American Godzilla movie, to be honest. Okay, Blue Gecko Nerd, you agree with me? You agree with me. Okay. Anyway, so that is actually my top 10 list. I like my top 10 list. I think, again, I haven't seen The Color Purple yet, so The Color Purple, when I see it, maybe it'll end up on my top 10. I'll let you guys know on Twitter or maybe in the community page if I need to update my list at all. But those are my top 10 movies so far. Maybe there's a few other movies I didn't get to see that I might have loved more. I don't know. Just out of the movies that I have seen, these are by far my top 10. So yeah, before I get to the member question, any thoughts about my top 10 or 2023 as a year in general? Just curious what you guys' thoughts on this year or on my list. I know the chimes. Sorry, guys. I can't fight the chimes. Variety Vlog says, does Godzilla Minus One speak another language in the film? Yes, they speak Japanese, so it is subtitled only. So if you don't mind subtitles, I do recommend the movie. The subtitles really they don't hinder your experience at all. They don't distract you from what's going on. You get really used to the subtitles pretty quickly. Okay, Marilyn Cherry, I have not seen Renfield. So maybe I should still go see that. I haven't seen that one yet. Taylor Swift lover, I'm sure the Eras concert movie is in your list. You know what? I didn't see the Eras tour concert, but I did see the Renaissance concert movie. Renaissance concert film was actually pretty good. Okay, you respect my top 10? Oh, that's good. Cinnamon Roll says, I really like the list though. Thanks. Okay. I know Mario did not make my list. I do like the Mario movie. I do. But I just like these other 10 more. I would say Mario's probably in my top 15, but not my top 10. No, I have not seen a Haunting in Venice, no. I heard bad things about this movie, though. Same thing with Next Goal Wins. I haven't seen that either. But anyway. Going to go to... Oh, wait. Alan says, the subtitles in G1 are not difficult to follow. I was concerned about that and it was no trouble. See? Thank you for backing me up, Alan. Yeah, totally agree. The subtitles... I watch subtitles now at home anyway, even with English on, just because sound mixing makes it so hard to hear things now. So, honestly, reading subtitles is not really a big deal to me anymore. We will have the worst movies list next week, Scorpio Shadow. In fact, next Wednesday, so make sure you guys are stay tuned for that. And then sometime the first week of January, we'll do a stream where I'll go over my most anticipated films and whatnot for 2024. So we'll look ahead next year, not back, but that'll be in January. Oh, Crystal, you have Gran Turismo on your list? Yeah, okay. Now, speaking of your list, let's get to the member question, because I asked my members, what are some of your favorite movies of the year? So, let's get to it. I think I have this on the wrong one. Is this the right one? Okay, yes. Alright, so, first comment comes from Alexander Padilla, who says, I don't think I can list 10 movies, since a lot of the movies I saw this year, they were either mediocre, mid, or okay. Yeah, I get that. Not amazing, but my top 5 movies of the year are The Creator, The Hunger Games, Radical, oh, I didn't see that one, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, and Barbie. As always, keep up the great work, Brittney. Yeah, I mean, we share a lot of movies in common. I'm glad you also like The Creator. I don't know why everyone's hating on that movie. I think it's really good. But thank you, Alexander. Cherry Blossom Fantasy says, I didn't watch enough to create a top 10 list, but of the ones I've watched, Guardians was probably my favorite. Godzilla had the best music score. They really made Godzilla seem like the god and titan that he is. Yes, they did. By the way, I love Detroit as well, and I would love to see an adaptation of it. I'm glad we're all on the same page there. I think more grungy stories like that and The Last of Us will do well in today's audience. Existential crisis and apocalyptic core for the win. True. I think a Detroit Become Human HBO series could be as big as what The Last of Us was. I don't think the game was as popular as The Last of Us, but I think the show could be as good at least and get like the same kind of online internet traction that The Last of Us got. I think it could be a really big show if they actually did it. And the reason why I would want a show and not a movie is just because I think there's a lot of story to the game that a movie would have to cut out. So I just think it fits better for a show. Getting back to this, Me Multilier says, I haven't watched that many movies from this year, but I really liked the majority. Were very bland, forgettable, and meh. So I can't make a top 10, sadly. I could only make it to a top 3, and those would be Oppenheimer, Asteroid City, and Love at First Sight. Oh, I haven't seen that. I would like to give a special mention to really good Argentinian TV shows that came out this year. I think were excellent and absolutely recommend. And they are The Boss and Community Squad. I haven't heard of those shows. If you have them in your streaming services, please check them out. They are Chef Kiss. Another special mention will go to you, Brittney. You are my main source of entertainment this year. Your streams are not only really fun and full of content, but the community you built is also great. Keep up the excellent work. You are appreciated. Oh, thank you, Me Multilier. That's so kind of you. I love that you guys love coming to my stream and talking with me. I love talking to you guys too. Really, really cool community that we've built here. I didn't put Oppenheimer in my list. You guys know I thought it was just okay. On my second watch, I did like Oppenheimer more. Like, I could appreciate why people liked it more. It just felt like overall I couldn't, like, I guess the reason why I couldn't really get into Oppenheimer is because I don't like the guy. Like, I thought Oppenheimer was kind of a jerk. Like, the whole movie, like, I thought he was a very selfish jerk. And I really like, for me to get into a movie that I really like, I really need to get into the character and, like, feel attached to the character. And I couldn't get attached to Oppenheimer because the whole time I'm like, wow, this dude's kind of a jerk. So yeah, I don't know. I just can't get into Oppenheimer, but I totally get why people like it. So not hating on it. It's just not for me. Anyway, Desi B says, hi, Brittney. I didn't see many new movies this year, but if I had to pick a few of my top that were memorable to me, Guardians 3, yep, Barbie, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, and The Creator, and Super Mario Bros. Yeah, I mean, I like all of his movies. Again, Super Mario didn't make it to my top 10, but I still liked it. Yeah, I have to say, I think that's a good list. HB93 says, I would say my top movies were Barbie, Guardians 3, Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, Red, White, and Royal Blue. I have not seen this. And Spider-Verse. What is this movie? I have not heard of it. Is this a Netflix film? But other than that, yeah, totally agree with this list. Great list. Seems like most of us are agreeing here. Top 6 movies of the year from RuPaul's Drag Race Superfan. We have Barbie, Red, White, and Royal Blue again. What is this movie? Wonka, Guardians, Super Mario, Nimona. Glad to see Nimona on another list. These are my top 6 movies of the year. Each one made me so happy and showed me Hollywood is not dead. What am I missing about the Red, Royal Blue, or whatever it's called? Red, White, and Royal Blue. What is this movie? How did I forget? Someone in the chat gonna tell me? Star Film Studio says, you are the... Wait, where'd it go? You are the people that I watch for movie news, so keep doing the good work. Oh, thank you, Star Film Studio. Someone let me know in the chat eventually. Edgemon says, yeah, I love this kind of top 10 lives, but this one was way harder than I thought. Number 1, you have Gourdians. Oh, that's your number 1 movie of the year? Wow. I mean, it was my number 1 movie until recently. Number 2, Spiderverse. Number 3, Kaguya Sama Love is War. Oh, I don't know that one. Nimona, Puss in Boots. Oh, I forgot that. Was that technically this year movie? I thought that came out last year, technically. Oh, it came out technically Where You Live. Okay, that's how it counts. It's a good movie, though. You have Barbie, Suzume. That's another movie I need to see. Demon Slayer. I didn't see that, but I haven't seen the show either. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I thought that was just okay. And 10, I'm not sure. I forgot some movies, so this is in place for them. So you can only really think of 9 movies. That's sad. I wish more people... Well, I wish more movies were so good that we all could come up with top 10 lists and not like top 5 or top 6, but hey, baby steps, I guess, baby steps. Anyone know what that movie is I'm talking about? It's a Netflix adaptation of a book. Okay, I have not seen it. I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't really watch a ton of Netflix movies. I don't really watch a ton of Netflix content, period. So I don't really know every release that comes out on Netflix, but I feel like I need to start paying attention to it more. Like, I know there was a new apocalyptic movie. Something about, call it about the end of the world or something that was made by the Obamas. Should I watch that? Should I watch that and review it? I have no idea. Please let me know what I should watch and review, guys. Laura B says, Red, White, and Royal Blue is a cute movie, a romantic story between the son of the President of the U.S. and the son of the King of England. Interesting. That actually does sound interesting. Maybe I'll check it out since 2 of you have mentioned it. But anyway, moving on. Nintendo Gaming Chair says, these only movies released in 2023 I see are Megan, Guardians, Super Mario, Resident Evil. Okay, someone mentioned something new here. And then note, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my first MCU movie since Avengers 3. We didn't even see Endgame? Wait, what? So, Nintendo Gaming Chair, let me get this right. You saw Avengers Infinity War, but you didn't watch Avengers Endgame? So you saw everyone get snapped out of existence, but you didn't want to see how they got back? How? I felt like that cliffhanger was crazy. How did you not want to see how it ended? Seriously. Did you just not care for Infinity War? What happened? But thank you for being a member, though, and commenting. Natanya, you liked Barbie, Megan, Nimona, Mario, and Guardians 3. Yeah, I think those are pretty much the movies everyone here liked. Shelly Lee says, honorable mention. Number 11, Radical. Oh, I have not heard of Radical. 10, Mission Impossible. I'm glad another person liked Mission Impossible. Number 9, Into the Spider-Verse. 8, Creator, The Color Purple. I still have to see that one. 2018? I have not heard of. There's a movie called 2018 that came out this year. I've not heard of that one either. The Holdovers, Anatomy of the Fall, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Godzilla Minus One. Oh, yay! I'm glad Godzilla Minus One is your number 1 as well. Honestly, I feel like if more of you guys had just seen Godzilla Minus One, that movie would be more of your list. Because it really deserves to be. It's so good. So I'm glad, Shelly Lee, you saw it and you liked it as much as I did. Because it really is that good. Scorpio Shadow says, though Endgame should have been the end of Marvel movies. I think they should have taken a long break after Endgame, for sure. Folklore Corner, Eras Tour is your number 1. Why am I not surprised by that? Well, I'm glad you liked the Eras Tour concert, though. Did you actually go to the concert in real life? Legendary Movie Critic says, okay, your number 1 is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Why am I not surprised? I mean, that's been your profile pick for like the whole year, right? So I'm not surprised. I'm glad you really liked that movie. Also loved Barbie, Hunger Games, John Wick. We have a very similar list. The Little Mermaid, it didn't include that one. I thought it was okay. I don't think it was terrible, but I don't think it was like worthy of my top 10. But I'm glad you liked it. Guardians 3, Blue Beetle. I almost added Blue Beetle. Honestly, for number 10, I was going between Blue Beetle and Nimona. It was between those two, because I actually really liked Blue Beetle. TMNT, Elemental, and Megan. So yes, we also had Megan at number 10. So for the most part, I would say our list is actually pretty similar, minus a few movies. We have very similar tastes in movies, Josh. But anyway, thank you for letting me know your top 10s. This is a really, really fun question. I love seeing what movies you guys are into. You guys have even seen some movies that I haven't seen. I gotta, guess, catch up on a couple of those. But I really like your list. We seem to mostly agree on like some of the best movies of the year, so that's great. But anyway, that is actually the end of my stream. That is the end of my top 10. Thank you everyone for coming to my live stream. I love talking to you guys. I really, really do. Again, I want to remind you that on Friday we'll be doing a live review for the new Aquaman movie. So if you want to see my thoughts on the new Aquaman sequel, make sure you tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, and we will talk about it. That will be the last stream we have before Christmas. So another preemptive Merry Christmas in case you can't make it on Friday. I'll see you guys then. This has been really fun.